What is going on, guys? Johnny on the track, back here with another video. I'm really excited to do this video. The time has come for me to make my 2023 NASCAR Cup Series playoff predictions. Man, it's spicy. It really is. There's a name on this list that is left out that I think is going to have you all just saying, what the hell is wrong with you, Johnny? You must not be watching NASCAR. Look, I just feel like things are going to change a little bit this year. And so we pretty much just got to get right into it. But real quick before we do that, just want to shout out everybody who watched the video last week for the Clash bets. It's got over 600 views, which is awesome for me, especially for a betting video. First one of the season. We hit on the Martin Truex Jr. bet. I told you Truex was going to be great. I told you Ryan Preece to watch for him. Alex Bowman was another guy. He was right there to win that thing. I said to fade Kyle Busch. That was stupid by me. He had a great race car. But look, we won with Truex. Bowman was right there. Preece was great. If you were able to bet a top 5 or top 10 on him, you would have won that. Almirola had a ton of speed, led laps early on, and then kind of just a boneheaded call, boneheaded decision puts him out of the mix, but he had a fast car. We were right on the money with our predictions. It was awesome to get a first win with Martin Truex Jr. plus 2,500, I think it was. But anywho, just really, really awesome to start off the year strong like that. So be sure to watch for this week. We got the Daytona 500 coming up. We'll have a preview show for that with 3 special guests, and then we'll also have a betting video. Haven't decided if I'm going to put all that into one video or do separate, but a lot of stuff coming up. So, and I know I'm talking fast. I just want to really get into this video. I don't want to take up too much time. So with that, let's get into it. The 2023 NASCAR Cup Series playoff predictions presented by yours truly, Johnny on the track. Here we go. Number 1, who is making the playoffs? I feel like the absolute lock in all of this is Chase Elliott. He is a perennial winner in this league. He is he can win on, super speedways. He can win on short tracks. He can win on mile and a halves. He's a road course ace. He's got it all. He's the whole package. He's a winner. He's a champion for a reason. Chase Elliott is a lock. Joey Logano, same thing. I could go through on and on about how gifted of a race car driver Joey Logano is. He's the defending champion. Like I said, he's a winner and a champion like Chase Elliott for a reason. Joey Logano is a lock to make the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Number 3, I think the lead dog this year at Joe Gibbs Racing, a guy that had a breakout season, who won me a lot of money last year. That is the 20 car of Christopher Bell. Super high on Bell. He's a young, absolute stud in this series. And I can't wait to continue to watch him grow. I think he's going to win multiple races this year and be a real threat to win the championship again. Christopher Bell makes the playoffs. Number 4, Kyle Larson, again, a champion, a guy that wins a lot of races. Just he can win like Chase Elliott. I mean, these guys can win on all the tracks, be it a road course, give him a mile and a half, give him a short track. Larson can do it really anyway. The only thing I guess right now he lacks is super speedways, but I feel like that's more, luck rather than talent. Kyle Larson, got to talk to his spotter, Tyler Mon, during the offseason. They were super excited about this team. They think big things to come in 2023. So Kyle Larson makes the playoffs. That's number 4. Number 5, Kyle Busch. We saw what he did at the Clash. It seems like he has regenerated. He's got a regenerated energy about him. I feel like with Richard Childress Racing, he is going to have a really solid bounce back year. I think we're going to see Kyle Busch win multiple races this year. And I think the Kyle Busch of like 2018, of 2016, 17, I think that Kyle Busch comes back this season in a big, big way. I am super high on Kyle Busch. Might be my Daytona 500 pick, but you got to watch that video. So Kyle Busch, I think, makes the playoffs. Number 5, the number 5 pick, I should say. Number 6, Chase Briscoe. To me, at this point, the lead dog at Stewart-Haas Racing just made tremendous strides at the end of last season, won the Phoenix race to get into the playoffs early on, kind of had a weak middle stretch of the season, but again, once the playoffs came, Chase Briscoe really turned it on. I think him and his crew chief have a great connection. I've talked about that a lot this offseason. I'm really high, like Kyle Busch, I'm really high on Chase Briscoe this season. I think he makes the playoffs. Number 7, Martin Truex Jr. Martin Truex Jr. will be back in the playoffs this year. Another guy that I think is just going to have a comeback, awesome 2023 campaign. We saw what he did at the Clash. Kind of dominated that race. I think from start of the weekend to the finish of the weekend, he had the best car. That happened a lot last year. I think at New Hampshire, start to finish, he had the best car and did not come out victorious. A lot of it had to do with luck, some bad decisions, but this guy is a true race car driver in every way. And I just do not see Martin Truex Jr., a champion, missing the playoffs back-to-back years. Number 7 for me. Number 8, Denny Hamlin. Basically, if you just say the name Denny Hamlin, it's enough said. We know what this guy is. He's a winner. He's a super speedway ace, probably the best in the series. And really the only thing I feel like that he is missing at this point is the championship. That's going to continue, I feel like, to drive him year in and year out to try to win that championship. And to do that, you have to get yourself in the playoffs, which Denny Hamlin will do. Ryan Blaney. Now, I know Ryan Blaney had a down season last year, barely squeezed into the playoffs. But I do think Ryan Blaney gets a win this year. I don't know if it's 2. I don't know if it's 3, but I do think Ryan Blaney will get a win this year. He's a proven super speedway driver. If you look last year, he was good on a lot of the tracks, from short tracks to the 1.5 miles. He won the All-Star race. It wasn't a question about, fast cars. It was really just, it seemed like Blaney wasn't the best Ford when the Fords were dominant. It was somebody like Logano, who seemed to, be the best Ford when the Fords were dominant at certain tracks, and Ryan Blaney was just a tad behind. But he had speed all year. If you actually look at his numbers, he had a pretty solid, consistent season. A lot of the knock on Blaney was consistency. He kind of got that last year, but the wins didn't come. And in the year before, it was the wins were there, but the consistency wasn't. So, I hope that Ryan Blaney puts it all together this year, can match wins with consistency. But no matter what, I think he'll be in the playoffs. Number 10, Alex Bowman. What is the third Hendrick driver I'm talking about right now. Alex Bowman, to me, is just a guy that he's not going to be the best guy out there. And he's going to find a way to win a race. Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 3, who knows? But Alex Bowman does not need a great car to find a way to win. He's I guess you could say he's an aggressive driver. But that whole team is aggressive. They do things that put them in positions to win. They take chances. That's what they did to get themselves in the playoffs last year at Las Vegas. He took a chance, took 2 tires, started on the front row to restart, and was able to hold off his teammate Kyle Larson. That's what Alex Bowman can do. He can pull a rabbit out of a hat. Is he the most consistent guy out there? No. Is he the most talented? Absolutely not. But this guy knows how to win races. And to me, that's a big part of this series, especially with the playoff format that we have. And it's not changing anytime soon, it seems like. So Alex Bowman should be in the playoffs. Number 11, Kevin Harvick. Stewart-Haas Racing. It's his swan song year. I just do not see a champion like Kevin Harvick, a guy that has accumulated so many wins throughout his illustrious NASCAR Cup Series career. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't see him missing the playoffs in his final year. I don't see it. I think he did retirement, I think, the right way. He announced it prior to the season. So he knows there's no kind of doubts in his mind. He knows that this is his last season. I feel like he's going to race aggressively. and I feel like he's gonna rack up some wins and get into the playoffs. So I love Kevin Harvick this year. I think he locks himself, I should say, into the playoffs. Number 12, Tyler Reddick, the first of maybe two, we'll see, 23-11 guys that I might have in the playoffs. But if you just look at, to me, Tyler Reddick, if you go down the line of like top 5 most talented drivers in the sport, you're going to come up with names like Chase Elliott, like Kyle Larson, like Joey Logano, like Kyle Busch. And then I think Tyler Reddick is right there. Maybe you can make an argument. Christopher Bell is another just super talented guy, but I mean, Reddick can do it all. He is a talented road course racer. He can win on mile and a half. He's shown he can do it on short tracks. Dirt, on dirt, he almost won the Bristol dirt race, and he's a great dirt racer. So Tyler Reddick, man, he can do no wrong when he is in a race car. I know there's a little bit of change going from RCR to 2311, but I think 2311 has substantially better cars in certain instances. I think in road course stuff, Toyota was pretty weak at road course last year, where RCR was quite good. I mean, that's where Reddick got 2 of his wins. But I don't think there's anything that's going to halt the process of Tyler Reddick, winning races. I don't see that at all. I think 2311, like I said, has really good race cars, and I think Tyler Reddick's going to win some races this season. I'm going to go right to his teammate. Number 13 for me is Bubba Wallace, another guy who has won a race the last 2 years, but not when you need to do it. He did it when it was when he wasn't locked into the playoffs. He's winning a race in the playoffs, which would be great because he would lock himself to the next round of the playoffs, but he wasn't in the playoffs originally. I think this is the year. This, to me, is the most important year of Bubba Wallace's career. He now has his feet underneath him at 2311. He's got the belief of his owner, but really both owners, Hamlin and Michael Jordan. He's got a great teammate that's going to push him to work hard in Tyler Reddick. And the kind of weight is off his shoulders of winning races. He's shown that he could win and compete at a high level on super speedways. And then, people were like, well, it was a rain shortened race. Can you really win? And then he goes out and puts on a clinic last year and wins at a mile and a half. So to me, Bubba Wallace, I feel like, is a guy that this is the year that he needs to do it. He needs to put it all together, and I have the faith that I think he will. I think Bubba Wallace makes his first playoffs. Let's see, who should I go to next? So let's just go with a former champion, a guy that missed out on the playoffs last year, which was kind of crazy to me, and a guy that really did not at all perform well at the Busch Clash, him and his teammate. This man is Brad Keselowski. I just feel like, and I've said this before, I think I said this when I did way too early playoff predictions, I do not see Brad Keselowski missing the playoffs 2 straight years. I understand Roush Fenway Keselowski is not on the level of Penske. It's not on the level of Hendrick, Joe Gibbs. It's probably not even on the level of Stewart-Haas Racing at this point. But I do know who the driver is. I know he's a champion. I know he races aggressive. I know he's a really solid super speedway racer. And I think on any given day, Brad Keselowski, kind of like Bowman, this guy can pull a rabbit out of his hat. He doesn't need the fastest car to get it done. I think, although, look, the Clash, I think they're going to put that behind him. I think you're going to see significant steps up with their race cars this year. And with that, I just feel like Brad Keselowski can get one. He just needs one to lock himself back into the playoffs. If he makes the playoffs, I expect an early exit for him because, I do think their cars are going to find more speed this year. Their teams are going to be a lot better. But I still don't think they're going to be on the level of those other teams, even with a year under their belt, with the money and the money that Keselowski and that ownership crew brings. I still don't see that big jump, but I do feel like Brad Keselowski will have enough to win a race this season and lock himself into the playoffs. Number 15 for me, another guy that I think is going to win one race to lock himself into the playoffs, and that is the veteran returning to the Cup Series, and that is AJ Allmendinger. You got Chicago Street Course, you got Sonoma, You've got Watkins Glen. I mean, there's a lot of road courses on this schedule this year, including, like I said, Chicago Street Course. I think AJ Allmendinger can get it done. I think he can win one of the road courses to lock himself into the playoffs. There's only one road course in the playoffs, and it's the Charlotte Roval. All of the rest of them are in the regular season. So AJ Allmendinger, like I said, he just needs to win one. I think a lot of people are putting him in this spot, kind of like a fringe playoff guy that most people think can get one and lock himself into the playoffs. He's won Cup Series races before, most recently 2 years ago on the Indy Road Course. We'll be back there again. So again, I feel like at this point, AJ Allmendinger can win one to lock himself into the playoffs. 16, number 16, who could it be? I haven't mentioned Ross Chastain. I haven't mentioned his teammate, Daniel Suarez. I haven't mentioned Eric Jones, who won a race last year. I haven't mentioned Austin Cindric, who was in the playoffs last year. Austin Dillon, who was in the playoffs last year. Eric Almirola, who seems to always find a way. A new talented Stewart-Haas racing driver in Ryan Preece, who we saw put on a show and almost win the Busch Light Clash. But I also haven't mentioned the fourth and final Hendrick Motorsports driver, William Byron. So first, let me go through William Byron, then I'll kind of explain why I left off the guy that I feel like you all are wondering, why did I leave this guy off? I feel like William Byron he's going to win a race, if not multiple. He did it last year, and then he went ice cold. And that's kind of been recently William Byron's kind of, I don't know, identity, I guess, if for lack of a better word there. 2 years ago, Byron was pretty consistent, and then kind of toward the playoffs, he tailed off. And then last year, he started off hot, looked like he was possibly a title threat, to be honest with you. And then he went ice cold, picked it up a little bit later on in the series. But I mean, if you look, let me just get the numbers up on William Byron. I feel like it was like 10 races or something that he went without getting a top 10. I want to get this up here. Forgive me, I should have had this up. Yeah, all right. So he starts off, has 2 awful races, and then he gets a win early on, race 5 of the season at Atlanta. 3 races, I should say, later, he wins Martinsville, has a 3rd place in that stretch at Richmond, and it looks like, hey, he's ready to roll. He goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 races without a top 10, hits one at Sonoma. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 races. That's that other stretch. Doesn't get a top 10, and then picks it up. Has a good race at Darlington, Kansas, Bristol, Texas. 3 top 10s and a top 5. Again, kind of picked it up toward the latter half of the season. But the middle of the season for William Byron was ugly. And if you look back at the season before, it's the same thing. The guy started out hot, had a lot of top 10s, a lot of top 5s. And then towards the end, he really went ice cold when it mattered most, finished 10th in the final standings. So I think we kind of knock Bowman for not being consistent. But I mean, honestly, I really don't think William Byron and Alex Bowman are far apart. I think with their cars, they can win races, but overall, they don't have the consistency of a Chase Elliott, of a Kyle Larson. And that's something that both those drivers need to work on. But I just feel like in that 24 car, with that speed, being on that team, William Byron is going to find a way to get a win and lock himself into the playoffs. So here it is. Let's talk about it. Ross Chastain. Why is he off? Why is he off the list? Why is he not locked into the playoffs? Well, there's a good chance I am punching myself in the face with this prediction. There's a good chance everybody can come back when we're in the playoffs and comment on this video. Johnny, you are so stupid. You're an idiot. You're dumb. How did you not see this with Ross Chastain? I feel like it was a little bit possibly of an anomaly of a year for Trackhouse racing. And why do I say that? Well, first year, the next gen car, a lot of teams really were new to it. We saw 16 different winners, which was just crazy for the regular season. We went to 19, I think, throughout the whole season. And I feel like the good teams, your Joe Gibbs, your Hendricks, your Penske's, are going to really find themselves this year and take that next step. So, although I think Ross Chastain will be consistent, I do not know if he's going to find wins. And I think with this playoff format, you need to find wins. If you look back last year, the only 2 races that Ross Chastain won, super speedway, road course. Road courses are tough to win. There's a lot going on at road courses. People drive aggressively. So, he's really not known to be a great road course racer. And he showed up last year and won one. So great, good on him that he wins a road course. The other thing is a super speedway, and we know at this point what a super speedway is. We do have Atlanta twice, that add to super speedways. So we basically have what is it, 4? 5, I believe. Yeah, 5 super speedways throughout the regular season to lock in. So maybe he does it that way. But I don't know. I mean, the thing about Ross Chastain that was so great last year was he was consistently fast. He was, getting top 5s, right? Top 10s. And he was really consistent. But I feel like the speed of other guys is going to go up this year, and consistency isn't going to do as much this year. How should I say this? The consistency, everybody's going to be faster. So I think now he's kind of even with a lot of these guys. And when I look at these other drivers, I just have a little bit more faith in them, to be honest with you. And yes, I do have a little bit more faith in Bubba Wallace this year, and AJ Allmendinger, and even Brad Keselowski. I believe in Ross Chastain. I think he's a really good race car driver. I hope I am wrong. I want to be wrong, because I think the sport is better with a guy like Ross Chastain in the playoffs. But, something's going to be crazy this year. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not forget Martin Truex Jr. was not in the playoffs last year. Okay. Ryan Blaney was also almost not in the playoffs last year. Those are 2 huge names. Okay. So something crazy to me is going to happen. And to me, I'm picking Ross Chastain. I feel like, maybe some people are picking Bowman. Maybe it's Harvick. Maybe it's Byron that you don't think makes it. To me, I'm going to go with Ross Chastain for the reasons I laid out. Again, like I said, some big names: Daniel Suarez left off, Eric Almirola, Eric Jones, Austin Cindric, Austin Dillon, like a Ryan Preece. I like all those drivers. But I do feel like the speed overall of other teams is going to continue to grow, and you're really going to have to put together wins if you want to lock yourself into the playoffs. I expect at least 13 different winners. That's going to leave it up to 3 spots to be determined by average finish. So, who knows? Again, I hope I'm wrong with this Ross Chastain prediction. I also kind of hope I don't, because that means people are just going to say, like, what the hell are you talking about? But like I said, something is going to be crazy this year, and that's what I have. So definitely want to know your guys' predictions. Put it in the comments if you want, or, tweet me at JOTT_podcast on Twitter. Tweet me your predictions, whatever you want to do. But make sure you like this video, subscribe for more content. Like I said, bunch of videos coming the week of the next week, I should say, the week of the Daytona 500. So stay tuned for that. We've got a pre-race show. We've got the betting stuff, and I'll be in Daytona constantly, putting together content for everybody. So yeah, but thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Subscribe for more content if you're new to the channel, and make sure you like this video. Thanks.